All right, today we are cracking open the toolbox for understanding, well, society itself. We're going to be talking about the foundational theories of sociology. These are the blueprints that help explain why we build communities, why we go to war, and how all these invisible forces in our world really shape everything we do. I mean, think about it. These are the big questions, right? Why do we all live together in these huge, sprawling cities and tiny little towns? What is at the absolute root of conflict? From a simple family argument all the way up to a global war. And what's the engine that drives massive social change? These aren't just questions for classroom, they're the fundamental mysteries of our shared human experience. And this is exactly where sociology steps in. It's not about finding one single simple answer to everything, but it's about having the right set of tools to investigate the patterns behind it all. So let's get our hands dirty and open up this toolbox. So here's our plan for this explainer. We'll kick things off by defining what sociology even is. We're calling it the science of us. Then we'll meet the three giant thinkers who basically forged the original tools. After that, we'll look at three modern lenses that are used today. And finally, we'll bring it all home and see how this all applies to sociology in your life. Okay, so what is this field really? Let's start with the basics. Let's imagine we're detectives, and the case we're looking at is human society itself. Now, that's the official textbook definition. But what does it actually mean? Well, it means you're a detective of everyday life. You're investigating why some people follow these unwritten rules, while other people just love to break them. You're looking for clues, but not at a crime scene. You're finding them in the coffee shop, at the office, and around the family dinner table. The name itself goes way back to 1838, coined by a French thinker named Auguste Comte. But it was his core idea that was so radical for the time. He believed that we could study the chaos of human society with the same scientific rigor we use for, say, physics or biology. He wanted to find the laws of society. So if sociology is a toolkit, then we absolutely have to meet the master craftsman who forged its first and most powerful tools. These three thinkers, well, they laid the groundwork for basically everything that came after. First up, we have the revolutionary Karl Marx. I'm sure you've heard the name. For him, the key to understanding all of human history, it could be boiled down to one single powerful force: conflict. Marx saw history as this relentless engine, and it was fueled by class struggle. He argued that society wasn't some peaceful community. It was an arena of constant conflict between the haves and the have-nots. Whether it's a feudal lord going up against a peasant or a modern CEO versus a factory worker, he saw the exact same pattern. A fight over power and resources that eventually pushes society towards revolution. Now, our second craftsman, Emil Durkheim, saw the world in a completely different way. If Marx was obsessed with what tears society apart, Durkheim was fascinated by what holds it all together. He was the great stabilizer. Durkheim's favorite analogy was that society is like a living body. Just like your heart and lungs keep you alive, institutions like family, religion, and education all have a specific function that keeps society running. He called the invisible forces that guide us social facts. Think of them as laws, morals, or even that simple unwritten rule that you have to face forward in an elevator. They exist outside of any single one of us, but they shape all of our behavior. And finally, our third giant, Max Weber. So while Marx looked at the economy and Durkheim looked at social structures, Weber pointed his magnifying glass somewhere else entirely, inside the individual's mind. He was the great interpreter. Weber gave us this key concept called Verstehen. It's a German word, and it means a deep, empathetic understanding of another person's point of view. To him, you just can't understand society until you understand the meanings that people give to their own actions. He famously argued that a set of ideas, the Protestant work ethic, was a crucial ingredient in the rise of modern capitalism. For Weber, ideas could literally reshape the entire world. Okay, so those three giants, they laid the foundation. Now, let's see how their core ideas evolved into the modern toolkit that sociologists use today. You can think of them as three distinct lenses for looking at the social world. This table breaks it down nicely. First, you've got functionalism, which is basically Durkheim's legacy. It sees society as a complex system, like a well-oiled machine where every part, the government, the family, it all has a role in keeping things stable. Then, echoing Marx, you have conflict theory. This lens, it doesn't see harmony, it sees a battleground. It focuses on how inequality and the constant struggle for power and resources like money, jobs, influence are the real drivers of social change. And finally, following Weber's focus on the individual, we have symbolic interactionism. This is the micro-level view. It sees society as this grand stage where our reality is built moment by moment through the shared meanings we give to symbols. Everything from a handshake to a red light to a like button. Okay, so we've got our three lenses: the machine, the battleground, and the stage. But look, this isn't just some abstract theory. The real power comes when you learn how to use these tools to make sense of your own world. So how does this all actually matter in real life? Well, let's just take education. A functionalist would look at schools and see a machine for socializing students and training them for jobs. But a conflict theorist sees that exact same school as a battleground, where students from different backgrounds are competing for limited resources, and the curriculum always reflects the values of the powerful. And then a symbolic interactionist, they would just ignore the big picture and zoom right into the classroom. They'd study how a teacher's expectations, or even labeling a student as smart or a troublemaker, shapes that student's identity and their chance at success. And you can apply these same three lenses to politics, social media, even what's happening at your job. And here it is, the big reveal, the main takeaway from all of this. You're already a sociologist. Yeah, you are. Every single time you try to figure out why your company is structured a certain way or why some new trend is taking over social media, you are unconsciously using these very tools. You are already analyzing the social world around you. So the goal here isn't to start from scratch. It's to become more conscious, more skilled with the analytical tools that you already have. So keep observing, keep asking why. Because when you do, you'll start to see that society is the most complex and fascinating story ever told. And you're not just a reader, you are one of its authors.